Assalamu alaikum, how are you everyone? And it's my pleasure to see you all again and again. Well, thank you so much, Tawan, for attending the session. Let me tell you that this will be, inshallah, like the first session of a series of sessions that we are going to take together. It will not be the last one, inshallah, because the story of the IELTS is very long. Today, it will be just an introduction about what IELTS is and how we can work on it and how to improve our English. IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System, and it's one of the standardized tests that prevail all over the world. IELTS and the band scores and so on related to the level of the language. This will take us to again and again to talk about the CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference, which is actually the criteria that were prepared by Cambridge University to tell people about the level of the language. It starts with the basic level, which is A1, and then A2, elementary and pre-intermediate, then B1, intermediate, B2, upper intermediate, C1. Fine, and let's talk about IELTS now. The point here is that your level of the language, and I always say that if you'd like to take IELTS, there are like three main things that must be there. What are these three things? Number one, a good proficiency level. Number two, to know about the techniques and about how we can answer the questions of the test. I mean, for the four skills, which are listening, reading, speaking, and writing, as we'll see in a minute. Okay? And number three, the idea of practice and the practice and the practice and the practice, plus receiving feedback. And feedback here would be like one of the most important things about that, the feedback. The first point here that I would like to talk about, as we said, is number one, the level of your language. Okay? And as for the four skills, I'm going to provide you with a lot of materials, a lot of links, a lot of websites that will help you to do that. The most important thing here is to choose the right material that will help you to master IELTS. This is one thing. Something else which is extremely important is that, and that happens before you even start working on your IELTS, is to know about your level of the language. Okay? And even for that idea, even if you feel that your level of the language is not up to the band that you want to take, still there is a solution to that. And this is what I'm going to tell you about today. Okay? So let's start first with IELTS band score and your level of the language. Simply, you will find that universities, or you apply for a university, or you apply to immigrate or whatever, that they would ask for, or those places would ask for a level of the language, let's say a band score, which is based on the level of the language, which would be at least, like, for example, 5.5. Okay? And 6, 6.5, then 7. So the point here is that you must know something, and you must relate this to the CEFR, or the Common European Framework of Reference, which means that if you aspire the band score or of 5, for example, so your level must be at least B1, which is the intermediate level. And if you aspire band score 5.5 to 6, 6.5, so we must be at least B2, which is the upper intermediate. After that, your level must be C1, which is the advanced level. This is one thing. And as we'll see together, maybe not today, maybe later, we will see how that somebody's level might be in one of the skills better than the other skill. And this will affect other criteria too, as we'll see. And for example, your level is in let's say that you take a test, an IELTS test, for example, like just for simulation, you need to see what you would do in a test like that. And you'll find, for example, that for the speaking, you got 6, for example. Okay? And for the reading, you find that yourself that you got 5. For listening, it was 5.5. And for writing, it was 5 again. This is what will decide your band score, your total band score. because the total band score will be based on the 4 skills together: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Say, for example, that someone got here 5.5, 5.5, 6, 6. So you are going to count the 4 of them. 5.5 plus 5.5 equals 11. 6 and 6 equals 12. And then you count them all. 23 divided by 4, it gives you so and so, and gives you your score after that. This is the first step. And this is decided by something else, which is called the band score descriptors. And descriptors here mean the criteria or the rubric of assessing that. Your level of the productive skills, which are the speaking and writing, for example, is decided by the criteria, which is called the band descriptors, which means the rubrics. As if these are like some criteria that will help you to know, or to know about what you did or what you should do in IELTS for speaking and writing, which will help you to get the aspired band score. And inshallah, in our coming sessions, we'll talk about that, because of course it will be totally impossible that today we talk about everything. Fine, I'm just giving an introduction and some tips, plus the materials that I'm going to share with you, inshallah, that will help us to do that. So as a sort of recapping, if you aspire 7, your level must be C1. If you aspire like a band score from 5.5 till 6.5, almost, it will be B2. And lower than that, you must be at least B1. Okay, which means that it is literally impossible that you aspire a high band score when your level of the language is below that. The point here is, would it be okay if my level is like A2 and start preparing for IELTS? Yes, and I'm going to show you how to do this now. And this is like a technique. I wouldn't say that this is a technique that I devised. It is something that I already used with a lot of my students and different segments of students. And some of them were university students. Some of them were like adults, people applying for different things, for scholarships, for traveling, for mainly academic students. And I tried this with them, that I would use the books that I'm going to share with you today, because today, inshallah, I'm going to refer to you with only one set of books that we are going to focus on. Of course, I'm not marketing for the book, but the point is that I'm going to tell you about the benefits of the book. Fine? And before that, I'm going to tell you the other resources that you use and see what might be suitable for you. And this is what we are going to follow in our coming sessions, inshallah. This will be just an introduction for all of us, as I told you. Let's move to another point. We are going to talk about what IELTS is, and about the test format, about the test modules. What is IELTS? As I told you, it is designed to assess the English language ability of people who intend to study or work where English is the language of communication. As I told you, now you apply for a job in a multinational company, for example, an international company. The people in the company need to know your level of the language. Although it's not always like that, but I'm just giving you an example. As I told you, IELTS is mainly used for the academic IELTS, to apply for a university, to study in one of the universities, either here in Egypt, like the American University in Cairo, which would ask you to, as an academic student, of course, which would ask you to for an IELTS test. And for the IELTS test, you are going to take the test and get like a certain band score for IELTS or for TOEFL. And inshallah, I promise you that there will be another session to talk about TOEFL and about GMAT. Let's talk about this later. This is one thing. And at the same time, if you are traveling, if you plan to emigrate to the 3 countries that I mentioned earlier, which are the United States, Canada, and Australia, they also require a certain band score based on many criteria that you can search for. It's not the time to talk about this now. Okay? That's the point about it. So they just test your language. But what I'm going to do today is something else. We are going to do together something which I would call like we are going to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. That through the series that you are going to take together, I am going, inshallah, to show you how you can work on your English to improve your English and at the same time prepare yourself for IELTS through the series that I'm going to share with you. Okay? And as I told you, we'll focus on one book series in our coming sessions, inshallah, and we'll see together how to deal with it. There will be one session to talk about speaking skills. Another one will be about listening, another about reading, another about writing. There are two modules of IELTS, which are academic and general training. Academic is for academic studies. You apply for a university, you apply for a scholarship, to study in a university, for a scholarship, whatever. And the general training, if you don't use the test results within 2 years, it will not be valid anymore, and you will have to take the test once more. So at least be prepared. And once there is a chance for a scholarship, for applying for a university or traveling or whatever, take the test at that time. This is one thing. As I said earlier, and this is why I started my session by talking about the Common European Framework of Reference, which is the idea of the level of the language. As I said, okay, we talked about this levels A1, A2, B1, B2, and so on, which we talked about earlier. Okay. So here, for example, if you like get band 5, so as they call it, like a modest user, okay, and the idea is that this is somebody who has the ability to communicate in normal situations, okay, not like a high level one, and then a competent user, then a good user, then very good user, then expert user, and so on. Fine. And as I told you, there is a band score for each skill. One for listening, one for reading, one for speaking, one for writing. They are all added up, and then you take the average to know your total band score. And there is a very important point here that I will talk about, inshallah, in detail later when I talk about mainly writing, which might be like a big issue for a lot of people, mainly for the academic writing. Because when you apply for one of the universities, for example, you apply to take your master's degree, or a scholarship, whatever, you will be required to take a certain band score, a specific band score, which might usually be like 6.5, which means that they tell you we need the total score, for example, of 7, for example, or let's say 6.5. But for writing, at least you must get 6.5. And this has been like a big issue for a lot of people. Why? Because you might find somebody who got let's say that one of the universities would ask for the band score 6.5 as in total. Okay. And you'll find that this person gets 6.5, but he or she got the 6.5 by having, for example, a high band score in listening, another one in reading, another one in speaking, with a low band score of writing, fine, which is not up to 6.5, but the total made it 6.5. Fine. But this would not qualify him or her to join this university. And I saw a lot of examples of that. So the components of reading in academic is different from that of general, and of writing is the same, but the listening and the speaking are the same. Of course, you have to decide before you take the test and you prepare yourself for which one you are targeting. Here you'll find the time of listening and the time of the components of reading and what it includes, the writing, what happens in the reading, general reading, and the general writing, and so on. Fine? Okay? These details we can talk about later. Let's talk about what is more important here. Now, as for the listening and reading, they depend mainly on more than one thing. Number one, as I said, your level of the language, because it is illogical that your level of the language will be like A1 and you study materials of IELTS of C1, for example. This will be like something so frustrating. You will not be able to understand this. It will be too difficult. Fine. We'll see now how we are going to do that. okay, and how to start from scratch. And let me tell you that I tried the same technique with students of different levels, and alhamdulillah, it worked. Yani I started teaching IELTS for students with A2, and I started to apply this technique with them using the book that I'm going to talk about in a minute. Okay? And the students level was like A2. Other students whose level was like B2, but still I asked them to go back to A2 because there will be something that they may have missed and we need to work on. And this will be our target for today with the book that I will talk about. Fine. There are, as you know, there are 4 skills, like receptive skills, listening and reading. Okay, but now we'll talk about, of course, listening and reading. There is nothing to assess except like you do some exercise, you test like certain skills, and there are multiple choices, stuff to read and write, and so on. Okay, we don't have rubrics for that. We don't have criteria to correct that. You just answer the question, choose the multiple choice, write a sentence, whatever, and so on. But when it comes to the productive skills, which are speaking and writing, the story is different. There are some criteria to correct your speaking and correct your writing. Let's start with the writing test first. What are the skills that are assessed in general? But we'll talk about this in detail when I explain something about the band score descriptors. As you see, the ability, the test assesses the ability to write a response which is appropriate in terms of content. How about your content, the content that you write? Okay, how you organize your ideas, how accurate you are, the level of vocabulary that you are using, the level of grammar that you are using. Okay, as I told you, this will be explained in the band score descriptors in detail, inshallah. Okay, that in all cases it must be accurate, how the ideas are organized. And the most, like, let's say, important points here are the use of vocabulary and grammar, which is like extremely important, because if you use like the vocabulary of the level of A2, never ever expect to find or to get a band score of B2 or C1, never ever. And now it comes to your mind, Hisham, do you mean that there are levels of vocabulary related to these levels? Yes, levels of vocabulary for all levels. There is a certain level of vocabulary for A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2 even. And again, with the same idea, there are grammar items that are relevant to each level. There is that grammar of A1, of A2, B1, certain topics. Fine. And sometimes you will find that there is a topic of grammar that is used in A1, but when you aspire a high band score, you must not use some grammar items that will go, for example, for A2. Let me give you an example. If you say, for example, a sentence like that, a simple sentence like that, okay, he was ill, but he went to work. Okay, you'll find that we use simple vocabulary that would be like of the level of A2, for example, okay, or A1 plus. He was ill, but he went to work. When you write with the same style, with the same level of vocabulary and grammar, something like that, never ever expect to have something that would get you like a high band score. Okay, and this, I will see examples about that, as I told you, with the band descriptors. So in a sentence like that, I must not, for example, use the connector, which is but. It will be better and get you a higher band score if you use other connectors of a higher level, like in spite of the fact that, or like instead of but, you would say on the other hand, or however, and stuff like that. Okay, even you can use other styles. This will be related to structure this way, other structures. So like when I say, however tired he was, he went to work, or he had the intention, or he took the decision to go to work. We'll talk about this in detail, don't worry. Fine, inshallah. And now we come to the speaking task, which will again will be assessed with the same idea, of course, and how it is divided and so on about the individual the timing. As for the first one, the first part is divided into 3 parts. The first part is about like an introduction. You just introduce yourself. The examiner confirms candidate identity and blah, blah, blah. Ask questions about home, about blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about this. And then individual long term. And then we come to the third part, which is usually like the most difficult one, where the students, where the examiner asks the candidate like questions. And it's like what we call a two-way discussion, which is the longer one. Fine. We simply, and let me tell you that the first one is just like sets the basis of your band score. When you pass it, you move to a higher level, then to the highest level, which is the third one, which would show your fluency. And again, okay, what are the skills that are assessed with the speaking test? Fine. Number one, the ability to communicate your opinion and information on everyday topics, experiences by answering a range of questions, how to speak at length using appropriate, suitable language for, and organizing ideas coherently. We'll talk about this in detail, as I told you, later. But the most important thing here is that to speak at length using appropriate language. You must use the language that is suitable for your the level or the band score that you are aspiring. Okay, with the same idea here. If you use the language of A2, never ever expect to get a band score which is like band 6 or 7. And that's why my advice to you is to start first working on your language. And at the same time, we learn something about techniques, and this is what we'll see. Also, the ability, as we'll see here, the ability to justify, to express and justify opinion, and to analyze, discuss, and speculate about issues. Okay, we'll see more examples about that. Of course, and we'll find here the test criteria. The speaking test criteria will be number one, fluency and the flow of speech, talking at a natural rate without causing too much effort for the listener, and the vocabulary range again and again. After I finish this part, I'm going to show you the story of the vocabulary range. And I mean the level of vocabulary based on the Common European Framework of Reference. Again and again, grammatical accuracy and range and accuracy at the same time. That I do not use only one style of speaking, only one structure, only one grammatical structure. Okay, you use different stuff, different structures, a range of structures, and how accurate you are, and then pronunciation. And here, that's why if you attended my previous session, you'll find it on the YouTube channel, and I also shared it on the Telegram group and on the WhatsApp group, the presentation itself with the video that explains it. In this presentation, I talked about everything that might be related to pronunciation, starting from the lowest level of pronunciation to the highest one with different aspects. In the presentation, I talked about how to pronounce every sound, even and connected speech, and about intonation and a lot of stuff. You can refer to this, and I'm going to leave the link for you after that, inshallah. That's all about our first. That's all about our first part of our presentation. I'm going to share with you now two things, which are the band descriptors. The band descriptors prepared by IELTS organization. Speaking band descriptors. Let's have a look at that together. Okay, you see here that in IELTS, you'll be assessed based on 4 criteria, IELTS speaking, I mean, okay? And this will be for both, as we said that academic and general training tests are the same when we talk about speaking and listening, okay? I guess we talked about that. Number 1, you are assessed for fluency and coherence. What do you mean by fluency? It is when you have a flow of a speech. I always give this example when you have a bottle of water and you pour water into a glass. You'll see that there is a flow of speech. Okay? You don't think too much while speaking. Does that mean that you speak too fast? Of course not. It is just you speak and you don't have a problem with the speaking. Number two is that as we said, that your speech is coherent, is connected, the ideas are connected to each other. Okay? So let's look at this. I'm going to share with you how, and of course, I'm going to share these two files in the two groups. I mean, on the WhatsApp group and the Telegram group, so that you know more about that and start that by yourself. Of course, I will not start with the highest level. Okay, let me start with the middle one when we talk, for example, about band 4 and band 5. 5 for this part. And let me tell you, when you take a mark, and this is very important, and I always tell my students about this idea, okay, that you have to know that you will not be able, or it hardly happens, that you take the same band score for the 4 of them. Wallahi, if you get the same band score for the 4 of them, it will be okay. This will be great. What do you mean by that? That, for example, for fluency and coherence, you might get like 6. And then at the part of coherence, lexical resources, you may take like 7, for example. And you come to the grammatical range and accuracy, you take 5, for example. Then when it comes to pronunciation, you take 5 too. What happens is that I always tell my students about this. We like add up the 4 of them. Here I got 4, 5, 6, 7. You add them up, you get the average. This will be your mark. Fine. And there are some calculators that we'll talk about later for that. Fine. What does that mean again? Okay, as a candidate or as an IELTS candidate, when shall I get 5 out of 5 for fluency and coherence? Or why do you think I got 5 out of 5? Let's look at this. Wallahi, the candidate takes 5 for for coherence and for fluency and coherence, because he or she are usually able to keep going, but relies on repetition and self-correction to do so, and or on slow speech. فهير بقى I speak, I usually keep going, but I repeat it from time to time with a slow speech, and I usually correct myself. Plus, there is some hesitation. Hesitations are often associated with mid-sentence. Searches for fairly basic lexis, vocabulary and grammar. I keep kind of thinking, and there is some hesitation. Plus, overuse of certain discourse markers, connectives, and other cohesive features. Yani the words that join sentence together, there is an overuse. I keep using the same thing. Yani I used although once and I keep using although, or I keep using so and but, for example, all the time. That's why I told you at the beginning that there must be a variety of stuff to use. Something else, okay, more complex speech usually causes this fluency, but simpler language may be produced fluently. Yani when he or she uses a more complex structure, this might make him speak more fluently. And if he uses, simpler language. So in this case, for the part of fluency, he will get 5. He or she will get 5. طب how about the type of vocabulary? Okay. لا والله, the type of vocabulary here, resource sufficient to discuss familiar and unfamiliar topics, but there is limited flexibility. That will part of a lexical resource or the vocabulary. Wallahi, he or she attempts to rephrase, but always with success. ماشي. He or she will get that. And so on. This is the point. My advice to you is to keep reading all that to know how you will reach this point of getting that of that level, of band 5 or 6 or 7. طبعا when you go up, you'll find that things are like more accurate. And we'll see that by examples, inshallah, when we do real tests together and when we work in the book. I got a question here. A question from Rogina. Can you give us a plan if I prepared IELTS and in A2 level, or what you should do. I will talk about this, yeah, Regina, inshallah, when I finish this part and when I show you how to use the book that I'm going to share with you, inshallah, today. Fine. With a similar idea, when we come to the grammatical accuracy, look at this, grammatical range and accuracy at the same time. Let's go back. Now we are talking about band 6 this time. Look at this part. As I told you, the grammar that you are going to use with A2 will not qualify you to get band score 6. Never, ever. That's why you have to upgrade your level of grammar. You remember, and you see that on the 2 groups, I shared with you a set of books. And I told you, you'll find in the message, in the note, that they are like with the levels of starting from A1 or A1 plus till B2. This would be the start. Okay? How will you get like this band score of 6 for grammatical range and accuracy? Number 1, produces a mix of short and complex sentences, sentence forms, a variety of structures with limited flexibility. So this will need us to know something about the difference between complex, simple sentence, compound sentence, and the complex sentence. When I say, I promise you that I will talk about this. I will have like a short video about this idea. The difference between these types of sentences, a simple sentence, a compound sentence, and a complex sentence. Simply, in 1 minute, a simple sentence is like a short sentence with 1 verb and 1 subject, okay? The boy ate the apple. That's a simple sentence, okay? A compound sentence will be like 2 simple sentences that you can separate and you can join with certain types of connectors. Those connectors are usually called, or they give them like the acronym of fanboys, standing for but, and so on. We can talk about this later. So for example, if I say, the boy ate an apple, that's a simple sentence. The boy went to bed, that's another simple sentence. I join them together using and, it will be the boy ate an apple and went to bed, or and then he went to bed. This makes a compound sentence. Okay, actually, this is not applicable, or this is not required if you aspire high band score. You need to use complex sentences, more complex sentence. What is a complex sentence? It's a sentence it's a long sentence that consists of 2 sentences, but 1 sentence depends on the other. We'll talk about this in detail, as I told you, later. Like, for example, if you are planning to go out with us, in this sentence, do you think I can put a full stop and say, that's all? If you are planning to go out with us, what do you think? Yes or no? Of course not. The sentence needs something to complete it. The sentence depends on another sentence. Fine? But that's why you have to say it like that. If you are planning to go out with us, please get ready for that. You got what I mean? Yes, please.
Mr. Sham.
Habib, yes.
Mahmoud Imam with you.
Yes, Mahmoud.
We can say before he went to bed, he ate an apple.
Fine, it's okay. But this will be, in this case, it will be another complex sentence again. Can you say, ya Mahmoud, before he went to bed, and put a full stop?
No.
That is the idea. This means that this is a type of sentences which is called a complex sentence. As I told you, a complex sentence is a sentence that needs another sentence to complete. What I'm going to talk about this in detail, inshallah, later when I explain the 3 points together about simple, compound, and complex sentence. The point here is that you are required to use complex sentences, and not only complex sentences like that you are going to use like other structures with a higher level of grammar. If you aspire higher bands, you got what I mean? But that is the point. Look at this. Produces a mix of short and complex sentence forms. Still, you will get 6. But let's go up and look at band 7. This is band 7 for grammar. Okay, this is band 7 first. Look at this. Not only that, as we said
Okay.
earlier, produces a mix of short and complex sentence forms. No, that this person uses a range of structures flexibly used. Error-free sentences are frequent, which is great, that he produces a sentence with no mistakes. Not only
Okay.
that.
طب in what shape we can say this structure? For example,
We'll
you
talk
can.
about this. Now, this will lead us. I will tell you. I'm going to talk about this later. Number one, in another
Okay.
video, separate video, when I talk about the difference between simple, compound, and complex, and I'm going to provide you with materials and even exercises for you to practice.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Habib. Fine. If you aspire by band 8, you'll find that it's not only a range of structure, لا, the wide range of structure. ده بقى أستاذ. This person uses a wide range of structures of flexibly used. And the majority of sentences are error-free. You got what I mean? That's about that part for the grammatical and range of accuracy. Now we come to the part of pronunciation, and let me tell you that wallahi, inshallah, the video that I did before and the presentation that I gave you before, and the video you'll find this recorded, okay, talks about everything that you'll find here, inshallah. And you'll see this when you watch the video once more. Okay? For example, if you go back to somebody who got like band 6 for pronunciation, Allah uses this person for pronunciation uses a range of phonological features, but control is variable, which means that in this person, when he or she speaks, uses the features. If you remember the features that we talked about, like intonation, connected speech, and so on, for example, with the modulation of the voice, with the right way of pronouncing words, with all the criteria of connected speech and connecting words. He or she uses it, but the control is variable. It's not like the same. Chunking is generally appropriate. This is another feature. Chunking here is that he or she doesn't read the words separately. Chunking, reading more than one word together. I talked about it when you talked about connected speech. Rhythm may be affected, the rhythm of speaking. A lack of stress timing. He or she doesn't know about word stress. I also talked about it in the presentation. You'll find this in the video. Intonation, I talked about it. Stresses, talked about it. Individual words, I talked about it when we referred to how to work on all sounds of the language. And this what made me start with the pronunciation mistakes or the pronunciation features of the video, and the other one of common mistakes in English. These two videos will be so important to you, with the third video about connected speech. Wallahi, you want to get a higher band score, look at this. And this person, for band 8, he or she uses a wide range of phonological features and convey precise and subtle meaning. Can sustain appropriate rhythm, flexible use of stress. الدنيا سهلة. They speak كده, everything is clear. The accent has minimal effect on intelligibility. And this point is extremely important because some people think that when you take the IELTS, if you'd like to get a higher band score, you must act like British people or like Americans when you speak in the same way. It's not like that. Fine. They will not judge you because, for example, you didn't say it like a bottle of water or a bottle of water, or like Americans, for example. If you simply say water and bottle of water with clear articulation, this will be great. Fine, it will be enough. So don't trouble yourself by thinking too much that I want to say it the same way like Americans and say words, as I said in the presentation, like 20 and international and stuff like that. Or go to the other extreme, which is like speaking everything in the right way of British English. I'm not against that. But the most important thing is that you have to say it in the right way, with the right pronunciation. Let me tell you that for preparation, the materials for preparation for IELTS do not include just the British English like that. You will find some people with some different accents, but the language is clear. That's for the first part about speaking. Fine, I would recommend it for you to read that. Let's move to the other one, which is the writing task, the writing band descriptors. And I won't spend much time here with writing. Fine. This, for example, the writing band descriptor for task 1, the descriptors or the rubrics of task 1. Okay. Here you'll find this will be a sort for the same, of course, for general and academic writing. The only difference here now, you'll find that the grammatical range is nearly the same. Lexical resources is nearly the same. We come here to something new, which is coherence and cohesion. Coherence is when you connect sentences, when you join sentences, when you join ideas. Cohesion is when you do that in the right way. What do you mean? If I say, for example, although he was rich, he was unhappy. And he was rich, but he was unhappy. Do you agree that these two sentences are correct? Okay, let's say it again. Okay. Although he was rich, he was unhappy. It's correct. He was rich, but he was unhappy. The sentence is correct. Here I achieved coherence and cohesion because I connected sentences together and I used the right connector. How about it when I say, although he was unhappy, he was rich? Is this sentence correct? Oh, he was unhappy, but he was rich. Is the sentence correct? There is something wrong with the two sentences now because I didn't use the right connector. I swapped the two sentences. Although I achieved the coherence, which is joining the two sentences together, I didn't use the right connector. That is the idea of coherence and cohesion. How will you achieve that? As you see here, if you aspire, for example, band 7, which is a good thing that you can target. Organization is evident, but is not wholly logical. Okay, and there may be a lack of overall progression. Nevertheless, there is a sense of underlying coherence to the response and so on. Still, you will get some. And you can read the rest. I don't want to you can read it on your own. No need to talk more about that. Okay, and then you come to the task achievement. Wallahi, if you do that, you will take 6. If you do that, you take 5, and so on. That's why it needs you to read more about that. I'm going now to move to another point, which is the idea of, I'll just talk today about the level of vocabulary, okay, that you can count by, you can apply to the CEFR. The best resource that will get you an idea about that will be Oxford 3000, which I already talked about in different presentations, but let me talk about it once more. What is the story of Oxford 3000 and 5000? Let me share this with you, although some of you heard about it before, but let me share it once more. Here is something about the idea of Oxford 3000 and 5000. Okay, just here it is. Okay, the story very quickly is that Oxford University, okay, made some categories of vocabulary words, and you'll find this. I'm going to share this link with you, inshallah. Don't worry. That there are different levels of the language, and these two lists are called Oxford 3000 and 5000. The story is that, as for 3000 words, Oxford found out that there are 3000 words that are actually the most important language, the most important vocabulary in the language, and they are the most commonly used. Simply, and another list which is 5000. Simply, they are like that. You'll find them here in the links that I'm going to share with you. Oxford 3000, these are the words, and they are, as you see, categorized as A1, B1, and B2, and so on. As simple as that, you find the word, British pronunciation, American pronunciation. You hit the word, you'll find yourself inside the dictionary to tell you the meaning. And also you can use another option. Okay, I'm going to create a short video about this idea later, that you can filter this and choose the list that you want, and choose, say, for example, no, I wanted the vocabulary words of A1 and A2 and so on. This is one thing. Fine, so you'll find that the website is giving you the list of vocabulary words A1, A2, and B1. And what is nice is that you'll find that they are written here like a PDF, and in the PDF, you'll find that they are categorized as a list. Here is the first thing that we need to work on. Okay, the level of vocabulary of A1, A2, B1, B2, and so on. And my advice to you is to start working on that. Test your knowledge about the list of vocabulary, if it is A1, A2, B1, B2, and so on. What is the difference between Oxford 3000 and Oxford 5000? Oxford 3000 has a list of vocabulary words from A1 till B2. Then the other more difficult vocabulary starting from B2 and C1 are there in the list of 5000. This is about, okay? That's for A, for the vocabulary words that we talked about. The last thing for our session for today to talk about is the book that I'm going to share with you, inshallah, which is the book, a series, which is called Mindset for IELTS. Mindset for IELTS. Let me tell you honestly that there are like tons of books and materials, okay, a lot of books and materials that talked about IELTS and IELTS preparation and so on. Okay, Cambridge is a perfect one, of course, it's number one. The exam is, the test is already prepared by Cambridge. Okay, Cambridge, of course. There are other books that I have been using for years, like Barron's, for example. Fine, you have Oxford, you have Cambridge, you have Barron's. Collins' series is also perfect. Fine. Why have I chosen Mindset for IELTS? Let me show you. The book at first consists of different series starting from the foundation level. And this is what I talked about at the beginning. Okay, let me share that with you. Why have I chosen Barron's? Let me tell you that what made me change my mind about it is that I actually attended a session by an IELTS presenter and Cambridge presenter. I attended the session. I was lucky, alhamdulillah, to attend it in the American University. It was a presentation for teachers to talk about this great book, which is Mindset for IELTS. What is great about it is that, as you see, number one, you see it's Cambridge official preparation material. That's number one. And what is good about it is that the book itself is prepared by the people who set the IELTS test. Fine. Another advantage about the book is that, say, it's an official Cambridge IELTS course too. It's a new series. It consists of 4 books, foundation, and book 1, book 2, book 3. This makes them like 4 books. Okay. It was first published in 2017. This is one thing, with the new editions, of course. You will find here that the book actually doesn't target a certain band score. The foundation book, I mean, the foundation book like prepares you for IELTS. And if your level of the language is not up to high band score, this book will help you in different ways, because it sets the basis for you to work on your IELTS and your language at the same time, which means that it will help you to like prepare yourself for the test, and at the same time it will help you to improve your English. Okay, fine. If you look at the contents of the book, for example, you see that Unit 1 talks about daily life, then house and home, and so on. But let's have a closer look or a walkthrough with the book. These are the authors, and let me tell you that those are the people who work in preparing for the test. Fine, this is one thing. And this is the story that I told you about a moment ago. This is the foundation level. That's the basic level. And then you have the other levels, which is book level 1, which targets 5 band, 0.5 Again, level 1, which targets band 5.5. Okay, which means that this book is mainly for B1 plus towards B2, according to the CFR. Then level 2 targets band 6.5, which is somebody in band, let's say the level B2, for example. And if you aspire a higher level, you need to go to level 3. Let me tell you that it happened to me that I was supposed to teach a class who were supposed actually to study the material of level 2, and others who were asked to study the materials of level 3. And wallahi, I shared with them the foundation level and level 1 at the same time. Because as I told you, the foundation level sets the basis for the language and the grammar for the other levels, and for the main skills that you need to work on the level, on the test. Then level 1 comes after that with this band score. Here you'll find the idea, as I told you at the beginning, you need, of course, you'll find in it like your skill practice, you will learn strategies to answer, and you'll find exam practice too. And inshallah, in our coming sessions, we'll start talking about how to use the book in the right way. I'll just send you the book. I'll just go through it quickly. Fine. And then after that, we'll talk about it in detail. I'll take one example of that. You'll find that it is the foundation level. For example, it talks about like daily life. It will be very important for you to read about this, what you are going to learn, the learning objectives. You will find like lead-in with very simple material for some people, something that will be useful for others. But this is my advice to you. If you feel that the material is above is like the same as your level, just continue, study, find the materials, study, and so on. And the book comes with the book itself, with the answer key, with the audio. Fine. And in case you feel that the level of the book is below your level, I would advise you to refer to go through it, fine, quickly, skip the parts that you feel they are too easy for you, and then jump to level 1 after that, and do the same for the other stuff. Here you'll find something like, for example, vocabulary and the practice with an exercise with the answer key at the end. Okay, a reading task. Okay, and even through the book, you will learn some techniques and some tips that will appear in the form of something like that, the part of the tip. Whenever you find a tip, please read it very carefully, because here you'll find a tip that would prepare you for IELTS, although it doesn't tell you which level here because it's just the foundation level. As like that one, in this kind of exam task, there is often information about the question in more than one text. For example, look at the information, blah, blah, blah. And then another mini tip. Then simple grammar explanation. I wouldn't advise you to refer to the grammar explanation here or focus on it that much. Refer to the grammar books that I shared with you. You'll find more ideas and more details. Then after that, we come to like something related to reading. And this part also prepares you, but of course at a very low level, for the reading task in the test. Plus some tips here. Fine. And this is something that will teach you something about matching. Inshallah, in the coming levels, I'm going to show you the websites that will talk about this, the coming sessions, but not today. Something about this writing descriptions, although this is not that relevant to the academic IELTS. And here we come to the listening part, preparation for the listening part, and then the audio that we'll see after that. Whenever you find this sign, know that there is an audio that will be with the book, inshallah. Fine, with the same idea. After you finish that and you find the 4 skills, listening, reading, speaking, and writing, you will find that there is a sort of revision at the end of each unit. Fine. Sometimes you'll feel that the exercises are like too simple, some you can skip. Sometimes you'll find that they are adding to your knowledge. In the coming sessions, inshallah, I'm going to take an example of the first book, which is the foundation level, plus I will just have like a walkthrough and then show you how you can work on it. And then, inshallah, I'm going to share like some websites that will help you to work on the fourth skill. So far, I'm done with my part. I'm waiting for you if you have any questions about anything. Yes, yeah, somebody, Samsung, I don't know your name, please speak. Just turn your mic, please, and turn on your mic and share whatever you want. Yes, and Ahmed Al-Musalami after that. Yes, please, this is Samsung. I don't know what your name is. Yes, please start.
Mahmoud.
Okay, Mahmoud, yes, please.
Inshallah, the coming session, approximately when?
I will do my best, hopefully, Ya Rab, that I will do my best. Just pray for me to have like 2 sessions per week. In the coming vacations, I hope I will do my best to have another session. Today is Wednesday. It might be like within this vacation, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so on. But I may not
Thank you.
do it on Sunday because I know our Christian friends might not be able to attend. So I may, yes.
Yes, okay.
And so on. I will do my best to make it maybe Friday or Saturday, inshallah. You're welcome.
Inshallah.
Yeah, Abdul. I don't know. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Mahmoud. Ahmed Al-Musalami.
Yes, Doctor.
Yes,
First, thank you.
You're welcome.
First, thank you for your offer. يعني مش عارف أقولها إزاي، ربنا يجزيك خير يعني ويجعله في ميزان حسناتك يعني.
إن شاء الله. It's my pleasure.
This is the first. Second, please, we need to know about TOEFL because I need to participate in MBA and I need to pass the TOEFL exam.
Inshallah, I promise you, inshallah, there will be another session about TOEFL how you can do it, how you can work on it. احنا عندنا بس خليني اقول لك اللوكال توفل والانترناشونال توفل and so on يعني we talk about this TOEFL, but anyway, I promise inshallah that there will be a session on TOEFL and how you can work and study on it, inshallah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Habib. You're welcome. So that's all for our session, and it's my pleasure طبعا to see you all. Thank you so much for attending the session. والسلام عليكم. Thank you.